how did you think about being in this sector? Was it like very easy that you decided that I want to go into a bank and work, or it was something to do with somebody else inspiring you because of that?
No, I will not say that there's a large number of attrition in the banking sector. No.
You've seen banks and their branches where, everybody needs to work. They're not on systems and they have to run around in initial times.
See, because the human tendency is when something new is coming, then first thing is there is always a resistance.
You were looking at a profession which is respectful, and you got inspired by that respect that if I have something to do with that, then I should be there.
Yes, at times it happens. I will not say it didn't happen. At times it did happen.
Good morning, everyone. This is Shachi Maheshwari back with all of you, and we are actually churning around with lots of professional journeys. We are actually trying to know what different people are doing in their professions, how they have achieved those journeys, how they have handled their challenges, how they've been from the start to the line where they are today, how they stand out straight with their pillar strength. Is it their mindset? Is it the way they have handled problems? Is it their challenges which has been, smaller and which they were able to do it, or their mindset was higher than their challenge? One such journey I have today to share with you. We are meeting one more, legendary person here. He has been in the industry of banking and trusteeship service. He has an experience of 4 decades. He has worked as MD and CEO of Access Trustee Services Limited, while right now he is on the board of Banker and Trusteeship Limited. Mr. Sanjay is here with us. Sanjay Sinha, did I pronounce your name right?
Yeah, that's correct. Sanjay Sinha.
So let's begin our first question, Mr. Sanjay. Let me ask you that, how did you think about being in this sector? Was it like very easy that you decided that I want to go into a bank and work, or it was something to do with somebody else inspiring you because of that you were there?
No, it was my own choice to go into the banking sector. Because the banks are considered the backbone of any economy, correct? When back during my college days, I always have had this fascination for joining a bank, because that time the bankers were treated in awe, I would say, because there was a neighbor. He was very respected. Whenever he would come, people would always go to him, ask this or that. So that always had in my mind. So then I decided, okay, fine, I would also go for a banking job. And then the journey all started. But
so
that is way
the
back.
Respect was the driving force. You were looking at a profession which is respectful, and you got inspired by that respect that if I have something to do with that, then I should be there, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, correct. And that time, another aspect was because in my family, I would say, I am the first person who has joined a banking career, because everybody was either in the technical service or in your administrative service. I was the first person. So that was also another thing. Okay, nobody has tried this in my family, so let's try it. So that was also...
So now people also have to listen to you because you have something different to tell than offer them in your family.
Yeah, that's right. Correct.
Great. So you have been there in 4 decades, and I'm sure that, this industry per se has changed over many times since the time you have joined. And today, if we call for everything online and everything which is there pretty much on the hands, on the phone, on the go. So what is the major, what I could say is, which is really, really something which fascinates you in this journey about the change which has happened?
You see, because the evolution as such, if you look into the evolution of the banking sector, it's a very fascinating evolution. Because right from when we have the presidency banks, which were set up in the country more than, I think, sometime in 1806 or 1809, probably, when the first presidency bank was set up. And from there till now, the journey has been, I would say, a complete sea change. Because when I joined the bank, that time there was absolutely no internet. Nothing was there. Everything was being done manually. But you see the way the industry and the professionals, they have adapted to the changing technology. That is something which is really remarkable. I mean, it can't be described in a sentence or a paragraph. I mean, you need to really, I would say, experience those changes, and then you can correlate, yes, what has happened, how the system has, how the industry has transformed from one end of the spectrum to the another end of the spectrum. Now everything is on just the click of the mouse, or just with the on the tip of your finger. You can do everything. So this is a very significant change, and that is very good, I would say.
Absolutely. So I think from the time where everything was manual and all was people dependent as a process, and now everything has come out practically where the main shift for, and you have been relevant that point in time, you have been relevant even now. It's not that
Yes.
you are not in the business right now, you are in the same industry, you are also in the same working positions that people have. So has your mindset changed a bit because of the manual way of handling and the way or it has been easier, or it has been tougher, or how does it work?
You see, because the human tendency is, when something new is coming, then first thing is, there is always a resistance, whether this would work or not, because that resistance is always there, any field. But then, yes, when we adopted this newer processes, the technology, then things started becoming very easy. It becomes very smoother, because you don't have to spend your midnight oil to just do the balancing or complete your day's work. Now, because I remember those days, particularly during the year-end time, financial year-end time. That time it was January to December. Later on, it shifted to April to March. In the last, I think, week or so of the year-end, that has to be a very, I would say, Herculean task, because virtually you are coming to the office in the morning and going.
There's no time to go.
Going also back in the morning itself. Maybe 4, 5 you're going back to, because you have to complete everything. But now you don't have to worry about all those things. Everything is, less of manual intervention. Everything is process, I will say system driven. I will not say process. Process was earlier also there, because those processes have been, I would say, converted into systems, I would say. Those processes, what were those processes that time? Process is similar. And all those things are the similar. Only thing, instead of the manual intervention, everything is being taken care of by the system. So that was something, it fascinated me a lot. Yes.
So one more thing is that, it was very people heavy industry. Like we have seen banks and their branches where, everybody needs to work. They are not on systems and they have to run around in initial times, because there would be all the people coming to the banks, and that is the reason it is service driven thing. Now these things must have gone down to a lot of extent, because people around at the banks, as well as people coming into the banks, both have reduced. So this industry typically has gone people less, in the sense it was people heavy, and now it has gone like lesser and fewer of people can manage the whole show. Do you think that's the way we should think, or no, it is the same amount of people who are there even today?
No, I will not say that there's a large number of attrition in the banking sector. No, because the newer roles have come up. It's not that the people who are working there, they have been simply removed. No, because newer roles have come up for them, and they have been trained and they have adapted to these newer roles. Some have gone to the domain-specific role, some has gone to the technology role, some have gone to the compliance roles. I mean, because every functions. It's not that the banking, any bank has removed a large number of people. No, it has not happened.
Are there any roles which have been completely redundant and which have been not there in place after this whole change? That we do not need these people now at all. These two are the roles which have taken over by the four other roles. But these two roles per se, if people have come into these roles now, we do not need those people or that role at all. Is there some role which you would say?
What I would say here is that nomenclature has changed. Correct. Like say, for example, during my days when I joined, say in your branch banking, now it is called the retail banking. Correct. In the branch banking, there used to be when you go to the branch, you need to give your check. Correct. And then there used to be a passing officer. Then now this officer is still there who is passing your check. But yes, one thing which was changed is when you go at that time, when you go to the branch, you straight away don't have to go to this. If you want to withdraw a certain amount, you straight away go to the teller. There you give your check and take the cash. That teller role, there used to be a teller, I think up to 2,000 or 3,000 rupees. You can straight away draw without passing through the usual process, going through the usual process. That teller role has now become redundant because that teller role, I would say, has been taken over by the ATMs. Because you simply put your card there and whatever, there's certain amount, whatever you want, you can take it. But there was a limitation in what teller can give you. That role has become redundant with the advent of ATMs and the internet banking. That role has been redundant. There's no need for that role. But most of the other roles, it has been, I would say, the nomenclature has changed, and accordingly, some new roles have come up, and the people have been accommodated there. That is the best part, I would say, of the banking sector with regards to the human resources management.
So coming back to from the bank, you took over to the trusteeship service. Can you please explain what is that service and how do you see it as a department or as a service which is taken over here?
You see, because trusteeship services it is a regulated service. Regulated in the sense that there is a regulator. SEBI is the regulator of trusteeship industry. So where you need a trustee, first we need to understand that where somebody has parted with his money and given to X for which is undertaking some venture, correct, or which already has a venture, and there they need a certain fund. They had borrowed this money from the normal people, the investors, and there comes a trustee who will look after the interest of the investors so that the investors are paid in time, because their interest is paid in time, the redemptions happen in time. So this is the role of the trustee. So because you are holding something in trust, it is guided as per the Trust Act. And then SEBI is there who is regulating this service. But the SEBI is regulating only 2-3 services, like the debenture trusteeship services, then your alternative investment funds, then the REIT or the infrastructure investment trusts. These are the services which are regulated. There are regulatory guidelines, and you have to follow those guidelines. and then discharge your functions as per those guidelines. That is what the trusteeship services. I think there's a DT regulation which is there. So you need to, the venture trusteeship service regulations by the SEBI, and the trustees, the players, they need to follow that regulation to provide those services.
Okay. And how many such top trustee service in companies are there right now in India?
In India, I think there are close to 9 or 10 trustee companies which are registered with SEBI.
Okay, so fine. And there is a separate exam like for the banks. Those exams only work for this.
No, I will not say for trusteeship services you have a recruitment process, recruitment exam. That is what you're meaning?
Yes.
Okay, no, there is no recruitment exam for joining any trustee company. Basically, who are the people who can join the trustee industry? Those who are having your legal background, that is one. Then those who are your CAs, then those who are having this company secretaryship, and then yes, the bankers, those who are into the sales and distribution functions of the bank, they can also join the trusteeship service industry. There is no prescribed exam for trusteeship service industry. And these trustee companies, they also recruit from the market. I mean, they straight away go for campus interview to the law colleges or the people who are doing.
So like any other company, this works basically. Yeah. The recruitment would work. Okay, yeah, fine. So this is this particular service. Does it need an expertise? If suppose a person has been into the bank, only then he could be into the operations of this particular service, or it is open for anyone?
It is open for anyone. It is not necessarily that you need to be a banker. No, it is open for anyone.
Okay. So coming back to the journey that you had, what was the biggest challenge, in this role for you, and how do you think you have, been able to do justice to overcoming that?
Both in the bank as well as in the trusteeship service industry, correct? I think that would be better.
Whichever is your biggest challenge.
You see, when I moved to Mumbai, I think that was in the year 2004. That time I was working with SBI, and I moved to there's a very prestigious outfit of the bank, that is Corporate Accounts Group, that is CAG Central. They take care of very large advances of the bank. All those India's incorporated who's, these are all having the credit relationship with the bank. Still they are having. So there, yes, because I was coming from a place, before that I was in Jamshedpur. And before that I was in Patna. So from there, you are straight away coming to the financial capital. And there, what are the mindsets of the corporates, how they perceive their businesses, how they look at the economy, because here the people are, I would say the corporates, they're the think tanks, they are looking entirely differently. They're not looking into just 1 or 2 years. They have a very long-term horizon, maybe 4 years, 5 years, 6 years down the lines. Then how you read those things, and then how you converge their aspirations with that of your own bank's guidelines, because then only your business can grow. And plus, these corporates are such a big corporates that they are very demanding, because all the banks are after them. Please come and bank with us. So that was a very big challenge, because you need to not only get the business, or even the existing accounts, you need to maintain those relationships, but also you need to grow along with them. So how you get into their shoes and also let them to be in your shoes, I mean, shoes of a banker, to see, yes, what are the things which can be done, what are the things which can't be done. And then you need to be very, diplomatic, I would say, even in saying no to them, because these are very large corporates. They have all the eyes and ears of the top management of the banks. So that was a very big challenge for me. But yes, that time when I was there in the CAG, my portfolio was, I think I was handling almost 15,000 crore of advances. So that was a very big portfolio.
Wow.
But yes.
So I think from this, I understand one irony, that though initially the banker was people heavy and everything was manual, now that manual has shifted to, even then now the relationships part. So since it is, everything is so much on the systems, you still have to have people who would maintain relationships so that the business goes on.
Yes.
So that has not changed at all. And every person who is heading, whether it is a branch, whether it is, handling a particular role, to maintain and retain those customers, to give them services on and off, to maintain that relationship with. Having said that, every some months or a time, the relationship manager is changing. So practically, it is a challenge, because by the time the one relationship manager has established the relation with the client, that person is changing. So how do you think that, is there a proper process where the relationship managers are trained in a way that the hand holding of the clients is done well?
Yes. Yes, you have come to the right point. Yes, very, very well. Because you see, in the public sector banks, I would say, there is a set process of posting for any position, maybe 3 years on an average. So after 3 years, obviously that person would go to some other role, maybe whether he's elevated to the next grade, or he would be transferred to some other position. But then the customer is of the bank. Customer is not of that particular relationship manager. Correct. So that is ingrained in the mind of the relationship manager, or that is how they are trained. Correct. So when suppose, because that, okay, fine, in 3 months or 4 months down the line, I am due for a transfer, or I will be moved out, then that time the new person who is identified to take over that role, both of them together now during this 3-4 months, or rather 2-3 months, they would start meeting the customers. He would download what are the peculiarities of each customers, what is that account is to that new person, and then the new person would take over that role. So basically, the process is very smooth. I would say, I would rather call it a very seamless process from one person to the another person, and the hand holding is very smooth, because everything is laid down. What is to be done? I mean, he himself, the outgoing relationship manager, would tell everything to the incoming relationship manager, give it details of the accounts, details of all his relationships to that person.
Because I think practically there is one thing which, while I have handled the treasury banking, I have handled in my role of the, being a CFO for the last 20 years also. This is one challenge, I think, which is not handled the way it should be sensitized and handled, that, the people change in roles, and after that you come to know that now the new person has come. So it becomes the responsibility of the new person to go and meet to the customers and introduce himself, saying that now I will be, taking over your relationship. Ideally, it should be the other way around. It should be the old person coming to you, meeting that he is, better than me, and now he will be handling the role and whatever it is. Because already you have developed a relationship with the old person. The new person coming and saying that I will be handling does not give that much reassurance that you will
That's
be
right.
handled where.
Yeah.
Instead, so being a coach and being a person who knows how service industry works, a little bit, we understand. And I have handled the bankers, so I think this is a little shift which will make this industry so smooth. This will make it so beautiful, because then you are not putting because we have 100 things to do, not just the bank,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
as
that's
as
right.
an organization. So if the banker is coming down, so then the new person seeks time, like, ma'am, he's seeking time, can we meet today? So if today is not possible, tomorrow, if tomorrow is not, then they are like after it for the meeting, because now it becomes their responsibility that if I don't meet, might be that the organization will not look at the bank in
Yeah,
the
that's
same
right. That's right. What you're saying is, yes, it happens. I will not say it doesn't happen. It happens because sometimes, if all of a sudden that, the person is transferred, maybe some administrative reasons, then yes, there is a challenge. In that case, what happens is that the accounts or the customers of that particular relationship manager, these are handed over to the his peer level. It's not that, because nobody has been identified that time. If all of a sudden something has happened, in that case, yes, I agree, there is a challenge. But in SBI, what I would say is what normally happens, and still I think it would be there, that the person, that the relationship manager who is leaving, if some exigence because of some administrative reasons or any exigencies, then that person would send a letter, that a mail, I would say, a mail to his counterpart in introductory is, for such and such reasons I am leaving, and this person as a temporary arrangement would be there to take care of your requirements, and you can also reach out to me in case of any exigencies, because that sort of
think this is
confidence,
diligently followed.
I think, yes, in 70-80% of the time it is followed. I will not say 100% of the time, but 70-80% of the time it is followed, because after all, he is the customer of the bank. He is not your personal customer. Only thing is, you are the face of the bank to him. But otherwise, it is the loss of the bank. If the customer goes, it is the loss of the bank. So that is being taken. That is how it is being done, even in the private banks also.
Which again draws me to one question. I mean, sorry to interrupt on this one.
Yeah.
What is the basic difference between the public sector banks and the functioning of the private banks? One, we already know that there is a service difference which might be there. The approval levels are different. The way the public banks, they are more responsible, so they work only as per the approval status, and they are more process driven. What else is the major difference, and how do you think this is bridged?
You see, indeed, because I have been, I think, almost 20 years there in the public sector bank, and the rest of my life, another almost 20 years in the private sector banks. The biggest difference to me was that public sector banks, they were not very aggressive. Mm-hmm. Private banks, they are very aggressive. Whether it is the customer acquisition or the customer retention, that is one. And the second aspect is that public sector, I will say that both in public as well as private, the process rules everywhere are the same, because everybody is regulated by regulator. We need to follow those regulatory guidelines. And the other aspect was that the decision making time in public sector banks, it was taking a longer time. In private sector banks, that time was not there, because when you are convinced that, okay, fine, this is to be done, then you can informally tell your customers, okay, fine, we would be taking up this, and obviously, because you cannot commit on, because sanctioning or the final decision lies with someone else, but at least some sort of assurance which you can say, okay, fine, we are comfortable with this. In principle, we are agreeable, and then we will taking it up with the authorities. And if we get the clearance, we will go ahead with it. But in the public sector banks, you can't even that you could not even say so that time. Yes, it was very difficult. You can't say that in principle we are comfortable, because first you need to get that in principle
Approval.
clearance approval. Then you need to communicate. But in the private sector bank, this one,
A little bit on that here, that yes, the decision-making process is longer in the public sector banks, understood. But in the private sector banks, we see that they are very aggressive in terms of business. But does it also amount to overcommitting what they cannot handle?
Yes, at times it happens. I will not say it didn't happen. At times it did happen. But then you see, because they are also because since they were new to the blocks, I would say, so over time they have also learned on that aspect, that don't overcommit. Do give your commitment, whatever you can fulfill it, just for the sake of taking that business, just for the sake of others are also in the fray. No, that is not there. So that is the reason when you would have seen it in the recently, not that much of I would say
Overcommitment is in place.
Overcommitment or your any laxity on the part of the private sector banks are also there.
So I believe that some notions which a common layman would understand when the person deals with either the public banks or the private banks is that if they, if I take on something, if I go to a public bank, if they say, then only there is a possibility that they will do it. So otherwise you don't know, and it cannot happen there if you are going for a loan or anything. But in private sector, though they can say yes, at the end you might hear that the whole thing is not in the same shape as it is, the yes is taken. So at least that part of clarity is there in public sector banks that if I don't think they will do at all this loan cannot be sanctioned through the public sector bank, something like that. So if you are really doubtful that approval may not come, it would not happen there at all. But people have started trying it into the private sector banks, that there is a possibility that in private sector banks it may still, you might still be given a loan based on some paperwork, or even if they have said yes, till the last moment you may not know whether it will still happen or not. So is this norm a correct one? Correct me if I'm wrong. Is this something, because this is coming out from all people dealing with the banks and dealing with both the sectors. So is there some correction to be done in the mindset here?
You see, because the basic problem is that, as I mentioned earlier also, that public sector banks, because that discretion, a part of it, that is at a particular level. So unless you have had an interaction with that particular level, the relationship manager or the people who are representing that proposal or handling those requests of the customers, unless they themselves are convinced and take it up to that, discuss this with that authorities and get a sense of whether it is doable or not. That is in the case of a public sector bank. But in the private sector bank, if the person, the relationship manager, and is convinced that, okay, fine, it is doable, then because he can immediately get in touch with the concerned authority, either over mail or over, I think, phone. This is what it is. I feel for these reasons, this is a doable thing. So then if you feel so, I can give them some sort of a comfort. Okay, fine. we are positively inclined towards this, but the sanction would come only when we evaluate it completely. But in the public sector bank, you can't even say that we are positively inclined towards this. So that mindset, definitely, yes, that needs to be changed.
Is
Because
that because the public sector banks are more hierarchical than the private sector, or that notion also is not correct?
no, it's not that, because in private sector bank also the hierarchy is there, because there is committee level sanction is there both in the private sector banks as well as in the public sector banks. It is there, same as there. But yes, now I don't know in the public sector bank what was the process now being followed. But when I joined the private sector bank, there is a process there in the private sector bank, that yes, if what are the pluses of a particular credit request, and then what are the risks, what are the challenges that you need to evaluate. I mean, there's no need for a very deep assessment or a deep evaluation of that request. Just see to it, yes, if these are the things which looks doable, then you can share your, I would say, the feeling or rather your inclination to the senior the authorities as well as with the customers. Yes, we are looking into it, and hopefully it should be done. But there also we don't commit it would be done. No, the chances are that it would be done, because after all it rests with the committee, some higher authorities. You can't.
They might come up with some pointers which
Yes.
others would not have seen.
You just can't commit anything, because you are not the sanctioning authority.
So since you have been, 50% of your professional life was with the public sector bank, 50% was with the private. So what was the major change that you felt? Because definitely private sector is more demanding. It is more, to do with the pace of work, more to do with the way you handle people. A lot of things would have changed. What are the major changes that you think you faced because of the change and shift from public sector to the private?
You see, first thing, the major challenge for me was that the mindset. Because the mindset of a public sector banker suddenly coming to a private sector banker where the freedom was much. I will say more freedom in terms of you can straight away meet the people at the level of the executive directors or even sometimes the MD. You just seek an appointment and go and just discuss. That thing was not there in the public sector banks. Definitely, still I think it is not there, because that hierarchical thing is there. Here also the hierarchy is there, but if you feel that yes, there is a
easier
need,
hierarchy.
There is a need where you think that yes, intervention of the or the attention of the top management is required. You can straight away, along with your manager at whatever level you are, you first discuss this your manager, and then straight away you can go and talk to them. Okay, this is what we feel. You can make a case. That was so, and because that was coming as a very surprise to me. Rather, I was not that time accustomed to that sort of working, because even that is one. The second aspect was that in the public sector bank, because the hierarchy is so ingrained that people who are junior batches, they would always address you with sir or ma'am, correct? But in the private sector banks, that is not there. Everybody would call you at the first name, whether even you are an MD, because or ED. So that was I would say a culture shock, because how this it can be. But then yes, you need to adapt to those things. And
So
and
you're
that
saying that
makes the
if a
thing.
person has to go from a conservative mindset to a modern mindset, it's a good idea to go from public to private. But a person who is coming from private, it is very difficult for him to go into the public sector because he will feel he's caged up. He will feel that he's been restricted to, play and work in his position the way he used to do it. Do you think so?
Yes, yes, that is there. Yeah, that is definitely there. It's very difficult for a private sector person to go to a public sector bank. It's very difficult to adjust.
What was your most enhancing moment in this particular journey of yours, which you always thought that, wow, this is something which I would cherish for my lifetime? Something which happened with you the way you never had thought any other industry, if you would have been this would be this way.
You see, there are, I would say, two things which I relate. One, when in the Axis Bank, when they have decided when they have selected and posted me to London, correct? That time, the Axis Bank was setting up the Axis Bank, their subsidiary, the first subsidiary of the bank in UK. And yes, being a part of that team to set up this, because there's a lot of people in the bank by you. So yes, that was a moment which I really cherish very much. And then yes, we went there, set up the team. From the day one, it was a profit-making venture, and even the regulator there, which that would talk about very highly of us. Look, see, is a very young bank which has come here, and they are doing well. That was a very good, very happy moment for me. And the other I would correlate with my trusteeship assignment, because that time the lockdown has happened.
Okay.
Correct. 2000, I think it was
2020.
2020, early February. Yeah, early February or March.
March.
So there, you see, because the loans have been sanctioned, or even the companies have taken bonds. They have raised money by way of bonds. Documentations are to be done. Or even the loans which the bank has given to them, you are the security trustee to the securities which are offered. The documentation are to be done. You can't go to the office because there is a lockdown. So how you will manage it? Because you can't just keep sitting idle. Then, being the head of the institution, everything is on you, because you can't. You have to think through, follow those the lockdown guidelines as well as do the business as well. Then how you did it? So what we did was that immediately we identified. In the like we were operating from Mumbai, Delhi, and then Pune, Calcutta. So these places, how you can position your employee there, those employees who are working from there, what are the things which you make them available so that they can work. Right. Then that time this concept of digital signature came, because those things happen. So immediately you need to act and then make them available so that your customer don't suffer, as well as the regulator doesn't come pounce on you that, okay, fine, you have not followed this. So these were two very...
and banks are very regulation heavy. So we need to have that compliance in place. Absolutely.
Yes. So that was a very, I would say, both these moments I just can't forget, because the first few months of that lockdown, was something
I think
which was...
for that, everyone in any profession would have actually learned so many new things in terms of how they can function, in terms of how they can handle. Those who were entrepreneurs also, they wanted to function in a way that, businesses run on. Because people used to say, that without the personal meetings, the business cannot close, things and relationships cannot run. Every norm has been challenged during that period. And I think we have come out quite well, learning so many new things because of that. Absolutely.
What I did, another thing during those period, what I did, I asked the managers, different verticals they were handling, that you give me the list of those customers. I prepared from my side and asked them, you just see it. If you want to add something, you add it, and then send to all the customers. You don't be panicked. We are there to help you. And just a very small one paragraph mail that we need. We would dare to support you, but we also need your patience. So that really helped. And some of the customers, really very appreciated those things, that we were there to handhold them. So that was something. And that was, yes, you're right, that was for all the industry. Everybody worked it in that way. Nobody could thought of that. Nobody could think of that how this period could be passed off without any hiccups. Correct. Now, when you look into the back of it, something which has come out very well.
True. So now, Mr. Sanjay, it was wonderful to know that how much goes on into a mind. How much goes within a journey, how many challenges they go behind the scenes to make a person come till this level and to stand where you are standing. It was a wonderful conversation. I would like you to give a message to, if this could be a profession for a lot of people, what is that they should look through for, and what should be the mindset? And is there some last message which they could carry along to inspire?
The banking professionals. You see, now the bank have seen a remarkable transformation from the manual days to the digital days. Plus, the role is also now more of domain specific, whether you are in the risk management or into the compliance functions or into the wealth management, private banking, anywhere. So you need to understand your skill set. What is your skill set? Because now it is not the jack of all trades. No, because that would not work now. Because during initial days when we joined, yes, it was like that. You need to work in almost all the verticals, all the silos of the bank. But now it is a very or rather I would say domain specific role. So you need to know your skill set. That is one. Second is the technology. You also need to upgrade your technological capabilities. Do some course because that is very important. Because everything is, because we never when your chatbots, or for that matters the artificial intelligence or the machine learnings, these things are coming because it is giving a new twist to the
every day you hear something new has come,
or the news
and it changes definition. Yes,
so that is why you need to be quite abreast with the technological evolution, I would say, which is happening. Then only you can do well in this sector. And the other thing is your own integrity or your own honesty. That is also very important. Because here it is the public money which are there with you. So you need to think through it. Okay, like the way you are taking care of your money, you also need to take care of the funds of your customers, the money of your customers. Because one dissatisfied customer would give you so much bad press that it is very difficult to now handle, because everything is now is the era of social media. Immediately it spreads. Okay, fine, this such and such bank, they are doing this or that. So that is the very important message which I would like that all the young professionals, they must adhere to it. That is very important.
So I'll just sum it up on the three things that you said. One is that if you're taking any role, your traits and temperaments capability should match that role so that you can do justice to that role, because there are a lot of roles even within one profession. Like we always say that if you're a lawyer, you can be good at writing agreements, you could be good as a corporate lawyer, you could be good as argumenting, you could be good in assisting some senior counsel. So there are a lot of things which would play around for a job role. So that's your one point. The second you said was the technology, keep abreast, keep yourself adaptable to the new things which are coming in your profession in terms of technology, so that you can be just up and upskilled at any point of time. And the third one you said integrity, and which I completely agree with you, that this is not just in this profession. Are you really true to your profession and to the work that you're doing? The integrity is so important in life, because if you are sorted there, all those other things of stress, mental agony, to a large extent, that would never come, because you are doing everything which is required and which is mind conscious in every way. So absolutely agree with you on all the 3 points. And that was a good message to all the youngsters and those who are looking for this particular professional line. But hang on, decide whether you want to be into the public sector or a private sector based on what temperaments are there with you, so that you do justice to the role in every way.
That's right. Because there is no shortcut. There are no shortcuts in the banking.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely no shortcuts. And any profession, because you need to, really grind yourself. You say that, okay, fine, I can do that. No, you can't do that, because there are so much intricacies involved there. So there's no shortcuts. Do your homework, and you also have to do your own planning. Yes, fine. How I can do that job. That is very important.
Very nice. Thank you so much, Mr. Sanjay. It was wonderful talking to you, and with so many insights into this journey. I think a lot of people will get inspired, from your words and from the confidence which comes from a personality like you, where you have been there helping. And I'm sure you would have mentored a lot of people, coming back where you have been in the journey, all the people working with you. Once again, thank you for being in this podcast show. And I hope everyone else is also there to thank me and thank you for whatever we are able to share.
Yeah, thank you.